Virgo, stop scrolling. Something you've been avoiding is about to surface. Ready or not, the sky just aligned in a way it hasn't in over a decade, aimed straight at your ruling planet. This isn't a horoscope. This is your judgment hour. Virgo, I need you to feel the weight of what I'm about to say, because this is not a small thing. Somewhere above you right now, two giants of the sky are standing face to face. Jupiter, blazing in Leo, the sign of truth spoken out loud, of identity, of being fully seen. And across from it, Pluto, buried deep in Aquarius, the sign of hidden systems and the things too many people have quietly agreed not to look at. This exact standoff happens once every 12 to 13 years. And it is happening this week, peaking almost exactly on July 20th, right over your head. You have felt it building, haven't you? That low hum under your skin for weeks now. That sense that something is about to be confirmed, not created, confirmed. Because you already know, Virgo. You always know. You're the sign that notices the crack in the wall before anyone else says a word. You catalogue it, you analyse it, you file it away quietly, and then, so often, you talk yourself out of trusting it. Not this time. This is your judgment hour, and I want to be clear about what that phrase actually means, because it is not a punishment. It is not a courtroom where you're on trial. Judgment, in its oldest and truest sense, simply means the moment discernment can no longer be postponed. The moment the scale stops swaying and finally settles, left or right, true or false, aligned or not. For months, maybe years, you have been the one holding the scale steady for everyone else, weighing their feelings, their excuses, their half-truths, adjusting your own needs again and again to keep the peace. You have been endlessly, exhaustingly fair to everyone except yourself. The sky is done letting you do that quietly. It is pulling the scale out of your hands so it can finally show you where it actually settles. Somewhere in your life, a relationship, a job, a friendship, a version of yourself you've outgrown, the evidence has been piling up for weeks. Small inconsistencies you talked yourself past. A gut feeling you dismissed as overthinking. A pattern that keeps repeating no matter how perfectly you try to manage, plan, or fix your way around it. Virgo, you cannot organize your way out of a truth that has already arrived. And that is what today is. Not the beginning of the reckoning, the arrival of it. The moment the folder finally gets opened. The moment the thing you've suspected for weeks stops being a suspicion and becomes something you simply know in your body with total certainty. This can feel frightening if you resist it. But if you let it happen, if you stop trying to control the outcome and instead simply witness what is being shown to you, this becomes one of the most liberating weeks of your entire year. Because on the other side of judgment isn't loss, it's clarity, and clarity for a Virgo soul is the closest thing to home you will ever feel. Here is what most people don't understand about divine signs, Virgo. They rarely arrive as trumpets and lightning. They arrive as details. And you, more than any other sign in the Zodiac, were built to notice details. So let's talk about what you have actually been noticing. Maybe it's the numbers. 3:33 on the clock, more nights than feels random. 11:11 catching your eye on a receipt, a license plate, a page number. You've seen it. You've probably even looked up what it means, then closed the tab and told yourself you were being silly. You are not being silly. Maybe it's a name. Someone from your past resurfacing out of nowhere, a message, a mutual friend mentioning them, a dream where their face was strangely clear. That is not coincidence. That is your soul being shown a thread it needs to either finally tie off or finally pick back up. Maybe it's your body. An unexplained wave of goosebumps when a certain topic comes up. A tightness in your chest when you rehearse a conversation you know you need to have. A sudden, overwhelming urge to clean out a closet, delete old messages, unfollow certain accounts, throw away things you've held onto for no logical reason. Virgo, that is not just a mood. That is your nervous system doing sacred work, physically clearing space for what's arriving next. Maybe it's your dreams, unusually vivid lately, or a stranger's sentence overheard at exactly the right moment, a phrase on a stranger's shirt, a song lyric that seems to answer the question you asked in your head an hour earlier. These small, specific echoes are not random static. They are confirmation, arriving in the language the universe knows you'll actually trust. Evidence, not emotion. And maybe, this is the big one, it's the doors, not slamming shut, just quietly not opening anymore. A plan that keeps falling through. A person who keeps cancelling. An opportunity that keeps almost happening and never quite does. Your analytical mind wants to explain each of these away individually. That is what Mercury, your ruling planet, naturally does. It isolates, it categorizes, it explains. But Mercury has been retrograde this entire month, moving backward through the sky instead of forward, and it stations direct again in just 3 days. Which means every one of these signs you have collected over the past few weeks is about to be confirmed all at once. Mercury does not create the truth during its retrograde. It reviews it. It goes back through the files. And on the day it turns direct, it delivers its findings, whether you've finished preparing for them or not. You are not imagining the pattern, Virgo. You have been building a case, piece by piece, sign by sign, without even realizing that is exactly what your soul was doing. So stop dismissing what you have noticed. You were never being paranoid. You were paying attention. Let's name this directly, Virgo, because you have earned a direct answer, not another vague, comfortable horoscope. The truth surfacing right now tends to fall into one of 3 places. It might be a relationship where you have been performing calm while quietly keeping score. It might be a job or a role you have outgrown, one you keep showing up for out of loyalty instead of alignment. Or it might be something closer to the bone, the story you've been telling yourself about your own worth, especially the parts of it built on how useful you are to other people. Mercury has been retrograde in Cancer, the sign of home, family, emotional roots, and belonging. That placement is not random. It means everything being reviewed right now is emotional at its core, even when it shows up disguised as something practical. A conversation about logistics that is really about respect. A disagreement about scheduling that is really about who gets prioritized. A we need to talk that is really about whether you have been truly seen this whole time or just quietly relied upon. And above that, in the wider sky, Jupiter in Leo, the sign of being witnessed, stands directly opposite Pluto in Aquarius, the sign of collective truth, of what a group finally agrees to expose. This exact face-off only happens once every 12 to 13 years. It is not asking you to perform anymore. It is asking you to be visible in your actual truth, not the polished, endlessly accommodating version of you that everyone finds convenient. Here is the part I want you to really hear, Virgo. This is not a punishment for something you did wrong. Judgment hour does not mean you are being exposed as a fraud. It means the mask you have been wearing, the "I'm fine, I've got it handled, don't worry about me" mask, is finally being lowered by your own hand, because some part of your soul has decided that being fully known matters more than being endlessly agreeable. It might show up as something small on the surface, a text you reread 3 times before answering, an email that finally says the thing everyone had been dancing around, a comment in a meeting that lands differently than it would have a month ago. Small on the surface, seismic underneath. That is how truth tends to arrive for you, Virgo, quietly in the details, exactly where you already know to look. You may feel the urge to over-explain yourself in the coming days. Resist it. Truth that has to be over-explained usually is not trusted yet, not even by the person saying it. Let the facts speak. Let the patterns speak. You have already done the analysis. You do not need to convince anyone, including yourself, one more time. What is arriving is not destruction. It is disclosure. And disclosure, once it is finally spoken, stops costing you the enormous invisible energy it takes to keep managing what everyone else was not ready to see. You have been the keeper of so many truths, Virgo, other people's and your own. This week, you finally get to stop holding all of it alone. Let's move from the sky into your body now, Virgo, because that is where all of this is actually landing. You may have noticed a strange physical restlessness lately, trouble sleeping through the night, waking at odd hours, a tightness that sits right at your throat or the center of your chest. This is not random. Your throat is where truth either gets spoken or gets swallowed, and for weeks now, your body has been holding words it has not let out yet. That tightness is pressure building toward release, not damage. It is the sensation of a door about to open from the inside. You may also feel it lower in your stomach, a nervous, fluttering energy, almost like the feeling before walking into an exam you did not study for. That is your solar plexus, your center of personal power, recalibrating in real time. For so long, you have drawn your sense of worth from being needed, from being the reliable one, the fixer, the one who quietly catches what everyone else drops. That old system is being gently dismantled right now, not because it failed you, but because you have outgrown needing it to feel valuable. None of this means something is wrong with you. It means something is finally moving after being still for far too long. And movement, even healthy movement, has friction. This is what a genuine energy shift actually feels like, by the way. Not always peaceful, not always comfortable. Sometimes it feels like grief for a version of you that is ending, even when that ending is exactly what your soul asked for. As an earth sign, you process transformation through the physical world before you process it emotionally. So do not be surprised if this week you feel pulled toward grounded, simple things. A long walk, a deep clean of your space, plain meals, more quiet than usual. Let yourself have that. You are not withdrawing from life. You are composting the old version of yourself into soil for what comes next, and that is sacred, unglamorous work that deserves real rest, not judgment for needing it. Here is the test underneath all of it, Virgo, and I want you to hear this clearly. Right now, you are being asked to choose over and over between fear and faith. Fear sounds like over-preparing for a conversation that has not happened yet. Fear sounds like assuming the worst outcome so you can control your disappointment in advance. Faith sounds quieter. Faith sounds like simply doing the next right, honest thing in front of you and trusting that you do not have to see the entire staircase to take the next step. You have spent a lifetime being the one who plans for every outcome. This week is not asking you to stop planning. It is asking you to notice that some things, the important things, the soul-level things, were never yours to control in the first place. Only yours to meet, honestly, the moment they arrived. They have arrived. So where does this actually lead you, Virgo? Because a judgment hour without a next chapter is just fear dressed up in spiritual language, and that is not what this is. Here is where it leads. 9 days from now, on July 29th, the sky delivers the second half of this story. A full moon rises in Aquarius on the very same axis as this week's Jupiter-Pluto reckoning, and it is already being called one of the most significant lunations of the entire year. Whatever becomes clear to you today in these next few days gets fully illuminated by then. Not decided by then, illuminated. The decision, as always, stays yours. Between now and that full moon, your only real job is to stop auditing yourself. You have spent so much of your life asking, was I too much? Was I not enough? Did I handle that correctly? Virgo, that habit of relentless self-review was never really about being correct. It was a form of protection you built a long time ago, back when being flawless felt safer than being fully seen. But you are not being asked to be flawless right now. You are being asked to be honest. Those are two completely different assignments, and only one of them is actually sustainable. Let this be the week you finally extend yourself the same discernment you give everyone else. You would never demand perfection from a friend going through what you are going through right now. You would tell them the truth is allowed to be messy on its way out. You would tell them that setting a boundary is not betrayal. You would tell them that outgrowing something does not erase the years they spent inside it, learning from it, becoming who they are because of it. Say all of that to yourself now. Out loud, if you can. Not as an affirmation you are forcing yourself to believe, but as a fact you are finally willing to hear, the same way you have handed the truth to everyone else who ever needed it from you. Your soul is not asking you to become a different person this week. It is asking you to stop editing the person you already are down into something smaller, quieter, and easier for other people to manage. The truth that is surfacing is not a flaw being exposed. It is your actual self, finally being permitted to take up the space it was always meant to take. Virgo, you are not on trial. You are being released. Released from the exhausting job of managing everyone's comfort at the cost of your own clarity. Released from waiting for permission to trust what you have already patiently, meticulously figured out. Released into a version of yourself who does not need to over-explain, over-function, or over-give in order to feel like she has earned her place here. The verdict, if you want to call it that, was never really in question. You were always worthy of the truth. And starting today, so is everyone around you. If this reached you at exactly the right moment, and I think it did, that is not luck, Virgo. That is alignment. That is the same discernment you use on everyone else, finally being used on your own behalf, right here, right now. Before you go, tell me in the comments, what is the sign you have been trying to explain away? I read every single one, and I promise you, you are not the only Virgo feeling this shift this week. If this video found you, it is because some part of you was meant to find it. So if it meant something, hit like. It helps this message reach the next person quietly going through their own judgment hour. Subscribe and turn on that notification bell because your soul's next chapter, the one this full moon is about to illuminate, is coming to this channel first. And if you know another Virgo who has been carrying too much alone lately, send this to them right now, before you forget. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do for someone is simply hand them the truth before they have to go find it all by themselves. Until next time, Virgo, trust what you already know. The truth was never your enemy. It was always your way home.